Oh, dude, that feels so good, bro. Feels so good, man. I'm just freaking.
Hey, Ned. Hey, Ned. I gotta find that voice. Hey, Ned.
This is baby. You baby facing me.
You try that hypothetically get high? Hypothetically high. Let's go delete some brain cells, some core memory drives, system drivers. How about that?
You're mixing Towley and BMO.
Oh yeah.
And
really just my voice cracking.
and a little bit of Babyface, a little bit of
Babyface, a little bit of Teenage Russell.
Teenage Russell, going on.
What's up, everybody? I'm sorry, that probably hurt all of your ears. Welcome to the Never Ending Adventure podcast. For a second there, Ned was doing a thing, and I was like thinking the clock was counting down. It was counting up. We had started, so here we are. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm DJ. I'm DJ Brain Dump, and this is DJ Fried Circuit over here.
Yeah, DJ Fried Circuit. DJ, go get fried in a cardboard box by yourself because you've got no one to get high with, hypothetically speaking. This is a great episode, dude. I'm very excited to talk about this Adventure Time episode. As you know, we're an Adventure Time podcast. Today, we are diving into Season 5, Episode 28, Be More. This is, of course, my first time, as you know, Russell, ever seeing the show and seeing this episode, and it was very interesting and exciting to get deeper into our boy BMO and everything about the Moes. And Ned, you've seen the show many a time. Does this episode hold up every time you rewatch it? Do you love this episode?
Yeah, it holds up, man, because it's like you said, like you love canon episodes, right? I love Treehouse episodes. You love canon episodes, and this has got to be of Season 5, which has had some really great ones so far. We're getting into the meat of it. And this is the meat of BMO, which is awesome. We start to see that BMO is not just like a video game they picked up somewhere. Like he's got a past. He's got things that Finn and Jake don't know about, which I think is just a credible, first minute of the show. BMO's obviously just dumping brain dumps. Accidentally
deleting files, totally on purpose,
getting high,
but not he's just not looking at what he's deleting. And of course, as he gets more and more high, he's deleting more and more important things. I mean, the first time we see on the screen, we see Finn stuff gets deleted, whatever Finn stuff is, BMO chop, BMO kick. And then,
electric slide is in there. So BMO forgets how to do the electric slide.
Good. I wish we all could.
Clean jokes get deleted, which is...
What gets deleted?
There was clean jokes, so BMO doesn't know any more clean jokes anymore.
Who needs that? Who needs that? I mean, the core system drivers, of course, is the big one. And that kind of is the call to action, call to the journey, and gets us moving on this episode. But... yeah, man, I was shocked. I did not see this in our little boy, our little beautiful, lovely,
baby boy,
BMO. Yeah, and there BMO goes, just getting high in a cardboard box, and I'm man, what's going on?
We've talked about this before. We've talked about where BMO's in the treehouse so much, just hanging out, and BMO Noir. We were like, okay, so BMO at least has these side adventures and inner monologues and kind of playthings that he's doing. But this one, we're like, okay, BMO's also getting high. And this, I think, explains so much of why we don't know a lot about BMO's past. Because I think if BMO is addicted to this, brain dumps, that
hypothetically, is this your theoretically speaking?
This is my theoretically speaking of the episode.
I like it.
Is that even in the Distant Lands episodes, we do get this backstory BMO, what BMO was doing right before he met Finn and Jake, right before he went to be Finn and Jake's friend. It's an awesome episode. It's really cool. I love the Distant Lands episode, pretty much every Distant Land episode. But I'm like, okay, but these things don't come up, and we don't know about BMO's past. And I don't know if BMO knows about BMO's past. And I think this can chalk it up a little bit to BMO's deleted a lot of core memory type stuff. And
dang, dude,
I don't know, man. It fits with kind of that being part of the narrative,
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a big gap there. And even after this episode, I have plenty of questions. I mean, BMO is far more sentient, far more aware, far more, he has way more freedom and the ability to make his own decisions than any of the other Mo's that we see. I mean, some Mo's were just following directions, like M Mo, I believe it was, who was carrying Mo at the end of the episode. And then other Mo's like Demo has and JMO, though we don't really see JMO, we just get Jake's version of JMO, are like programmed to do a thing or to say a thing or not to ask certain questions. And that's anything outside of the realms of what they are programmed for kind of they're like, they don't exist almost, right? That's almost what happens with Demo, where he's just like, oh, I don't answer that question. Or even as we're into the Mo factory and we're going on the Ultra Tram car, and all of a sudden Jake's asking these questions, and you see, oh gosh, where are we? You see the gleaming machinery, and you see it's all destroyed and used. And he's talking about this, like he's giving a tour. He's like a tour guide. He's like, this is where like all Mo's are created, and this is where they're all born, and the chaotic, like, beautiful creation process or whatever.
And Demo doesn't even realize that the factory shut down either.
Right. He doesn't recognize that it's
some sort of veil over Demo's eyes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like he's programmed not to see that. He's programmed for the tour to sell it, to like get in people's well, it would be if it was Disney to get in people's wallets.
Yeah, it was Disney doing it.
You know, but no, so it's so interesting. I'm like, where is BMO and the spectrum of all the Mo's, you know?
Well, and it's cool. Again, up until this point, BMO had no other mention that BMO had a knowledge that there was Mo's out there. And that's what I think also going back to the beginning of the episode, and Finn and Jake come in, BMO's, totally wiped out on the floor. And just like, oh yeah, I'm programmed to know the directions back to the Mo factory, when I need to get repairs. And so odds are BMO's never had to have repairs before in this capacity. And I don't know if that's, again, a core memory, core file that's been accessed that BMO never had access to until he was really like dead set on being, I have to be fixed. I have to get my core system drivers back up. If it was like a default safety program or whatever. But I mean, again, Finn and Jake are just flabbergasted that there is a Mo factory out there and that there are more Mo's than BMO.
And they've never come across it in the Badlands, which they've definitely been to the Badlands before. I mean, we visited the Duke, the other tarts. I mean, there are several little episodes or references to it.
The pointy people are out in the Badlands.
People. Isn't the Breakfast Kingdom in the Badlands as well?
I'm pretty sure the Breakfast, you had to go through the Badlands to get to the Breakfast Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So it's not the first time. I mean, but it's a big land. I mean, or the Land of Ooh, of course. Like there's a lot of places to go to visit to try and go into. So I'm sure it makes sense that Finn hasn't seen everything, but a big Mo factory sure feels like like what the heck is that? Let's go check it out. But only Mo's are allowed.
It's kind of half buried, and I guess you'd have to imagine Finn and Jake. They see a lot of like probably factories, buildings, libraries, whatever buried from the Mushroom War. So maybe they have passed this too, but just didn't think twice about it. Hey, this is a big build. But the dungeon crawlers they are. It's surprising that they haven't dungeon crawled the Mo factory already.
Right. I mean, it's okay. I'm stuck on your theoretically speaking a little bit. I kind of love what you're saying because what else has BMO not deleted sorry, what else has BMO deleted in the past that he's just kind of omitting from telling us simply by the fact that he deleted it. He doesn't even know.
We learned that BMO is like 1,000 years old. Yeah. That is a lore Adventure Time core, that BMO is older than Princess Bubblegum. That's the big thing because Mo is inherently humanoid enough, cyborg humanoid. It's just the skin at this point.
I mean, it's he had to have replaced all his bones. He takes a nasty fall. And if you're, grandparents, man,
if you're frail.
They trip and break a bone, like it's not a good thing. And freaking he gets
Immo is just
dropped,
tossing him around the factory.
I know, like he's had to replace all his internal bones or
bones,
something,
organs, the zero pain receptors, and it's literally just a skin covered cyborg at this.
But what
point.
a like lovely. He's such a nice man. Well, let's get to him later. I want to let me get back to my
we'll get to Mo later.
Or not my theoretically speaking, but where I was going off of your theoretically speaking. So my deeper thought when I was kind of thinking through this episode, and I'm like, what caused us to go on this journey in the first place, which is, of course, him getting high. Why is he doing this risky behavior? Does he know how dangerous this could be? Clearly, he's just going at it. But my thought was like, is it caused from a desire for a quick fix, or is it caused like boredom? You know, as you say, or as someone might assume, because he's doing all these things. He's grading football and all these things. Or is it something deeper? Is it like a loneliness and emptiness? And you know, in this episode, of course, we learn toward the end that Mo created him so that he could have fun, so that he, of course, I'm like losing my train of thought.
Like programs,
how to play, and all these things, right?
His soon-to-be kid, essentially,
right? So he's basically built for the intended purpose and core purpose of taking care of a child and having fun with the child and taking care of Finn in this case and playing with Finn. And so he's kind of fulfilled his purpose in a way. And maybe it's left him not completely feeling. And again, I'm just assuming that BMO is like as sentient as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
And he's just not feeling actually fulfilled. Like even though his purpose is fulfilled, he's still lacking like a sense of self or a sense of belonging, you know? And so I wonder if the knowledge of his family and like how he was created, who created him, his poop, as he says in this episode, his father.
Not his grand poop, is just
not his grand poop, his father. I wonder if that's going to add a level for BMO that'll maybe like satisfy that itch that he has for getting high to some degree. I mean, of course, it's not like he's going to like all of a sudden stop if he's addicted to this thing or whatever it is. But I like to think that maybe this filled in a little bit of a gap in him where he was missing that sense of self or belonging, or like feeling like there was a part of him that was missing. And maybe this was it. Maybe he found it.
Yeah, I've got a deeper thought, and it's pretty early in the episode, but I think you're hitting essentially. I've got a two-sided coin here, and it's two sides of the same coin of what BMO and all of us are kind of in pursuit of, and you've kind of identified one side of that coin right here for sure. Is that there's some sort of lack of like, I wouldn't even call it like purpose, but like, who am I? Like, what am I doing? And like, why do I have all this memory? Or like, why do I have to store electric slide and clean jokes? And like, you know, and there's some humanity behind that of like, we don't remember everything that
of course
we've ever. And so at that point too, again, our memories just fade naturally in general.
Yeah, they fade and they can get jogged by, a smell or a song or something like that, revisiting a place or a conversation. But in BMO's case, if he's wiping memories, I mean, they're just gone. Like, think of like the trash on your computer. That stuff's not coming back. Not to say that our memory are any better, because BMO being a robot can remember fully things, entire information, 100%.
Entire information.
Right. Whereas like, I can't do that. I can't revisit the cruise that I went on this past Christmas with my family and tell you every single minute of what occurred. I could tell you bits and pieces of it and things that I enjoyed, but that's like a little different, right? But it's really interesting too that we're talking about this and how important all these files are and memory and all that. And BMO's over here deleting files, and yet when we get to the factory, the Mo factory, the biggest fear is that his memories are going to get wiped, and he might have been wiping his own memories to begin with.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of a thing, is he's wiping enough, I guess, of what he thought were like pump and dump files. So like, I don't really care if I. If I'm having a little bit of fun, I don't care if I necessarily remember everything. And that's a little bit of a personal relation in terms of like, like why we go out and drink or why we go out and party and like why we go and alter our state of consciousness to some degree with weed or with booze, or hopefully not other things. I'd say that other things are beyond that. in terms of just being like, enjoyment of life. And that's kind of a little bit of thing too, of just like, if BMO's programmed for fun and enjoyment, like why wouldn't BMO also be on pursuit of that? Not like I am the robot that is going to remember everything, and document
I just thought it was
everything.
Interesting because of the fear of a personality wipe or a memory wipe, as I say, that damaged Moes get typically when they go to the Mo factory. And BMO even really describes it as like tears in an oven, right? Like it just gets evaporated into nothingness. And that is this big fear that they have throughout this episode, and why they're trying to escape from, is it F-Mo is Finn, Emo.
Emo, yeah, which I thought was a great reference, that Emo is the one that's going to wrangle them with a lasso and delete their memories.
Yeah, right. It's going to take them to the personality wipe. And just that whole scene, the first intro scene of them getting into the Mo factory is so fun, because you have only Mo's allowed, and you have J-Mo and F-Mo that come out of nowhere, where Jake's just like, dude, I got this. I can turn into like anything. Just watch me turn into, and I guess, I mean, we don't see any other J-Mos that I can think of.
Yeah, I was so curious as to why D-Mo would have known that J-Mo didn't look like J-Mo. Like,
I don't know. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about J-Mo. The only thing that was like off-putting about J-Mo to D-Mo was that, oh, you're not supposed to ask questions like that. But he must have just, pulled it out of his butthole, dude, and just killed it with the right shape and size and everything.
Exactly. Then, got lucky he a little bit.
D-Mo calls Finn out, right? Finn takes,
he's like, dude,
B-Mo puts him on his shoulder. What?
Yeah, because D-Mo goes like, F-Mo, you look awful. Like, what's going on? We need to get
ridiculous.
You down
to maintenance. Are you in need of repairs?
Yeah.
And it's great because like Finn's got B-Mo on his shoulders with the backpack on, and he lifts his shirt above his face and puts his arms inside of his shirt. And then he's definitely a very misshapen looking F-Mo. I can only imagine, we don't see any other F-Mos, but I can only imagine he looks nothing like what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah, so exactly.
D-Mo's circuits are probably just going off. He's like, I don't know what is going on. Like, let's just be kind.
And like we said, there's some sort of veil over D-Mo, though. He's programmed to just be like one track minded. Like, not much is going to get him outside of the programming.
Right.
There, which,
he knows what he needs to know.
I think that's why D-Mo is an important character to establish in this episode too. We would not understand how unique B-Mo is unless we got the perspective that D-Mo is got all of these programmatic veils over his eyes, and so just like, I cannot go outside of my programming. You're not supposed to go outside of your programming, and that should early in the episode get us very, very attuned and keen to that B-Mo is not this way at all, or we would assume not that way.
Yeah. I mean, he even has like, what, again, we have to assume is from research or just from time being there, whatever. He knows that 47.3% of Mo's come back to the factory for nostalgia purposes. Like, those are things that are clearly programmed into his mind to accept certain situations and allow certain things to occur. And he has to be completely out of his element when he goes anywhere that isn't one of the Ultra Tram cars or the desk at the receptionist desk, because he probably isn't programmed for anything other than those specific situations, which again is just this crazy contrast to B-Mo, where B-Mo just has so much freedom that these other Mo's don't. Of course, he was made to be more, as we find out in this episode, but so much more, like way more than any other Mo that we're seeing. Some Mo's, like maybe M-Mo or any of the Mo's, when we zoom into the basement or the cellar where all the other Mo's are, some of those look like they have some freedom within the confines of like their home, right? Like some are like flying planes and watering flowers and doing things that these other Mo's that we see in the factories aren't doing. Like the S-Mos, who their whole job is basically just being police officers.
Well, yeah, and I think S-Mo, you're supposed to think of like security Mo. So like, and you can see I don't think necessarily autonomy goes outside of programming. You can be autonomous within your own programming.
Yeah, sure.
And we could, the only thing I did not want to necessarily even go into in a deep thought is if you really think about real life programming and breaking your programming, and are we all programmed to be more? in a society outside of breaking your third eye by going through some sort of fucking DMT trip.
Oh, dude.
Does that extend?
You've been deleting too many files, Ned.
Oh yeah. No, unless you delete too many files, add too many files, listen to fucking too much Joe Rogan. I don't know. Like it's
it's one of those delete some files.
That'll delete some files. Oh yeah. But it's I love the stark contrast of the Mo's and starting off with Demo is important, and then getting the programming of the other Mo's. I think they all are autonomous within their own programming. And BMO, that is the be more, is that it's going to be my lesson. So you'll hear it again. It's a lesson, deep thought. He's programmed to not have a programming. And I think that might be in the deeper thought of it, like kind of like AI, like what we're dealing with this whole AI stuff is that like AI is obviously restricted within its programming, within aspects of its code. And you can play with ChatGPT all day long and get so much information and so much deep thought and so much back and forth, like dialogue, conversation, but there are coded restrictions. And I think Mo has coded BMO to be like, you are starting out at blank code and every bit of your programming is what you develop it to be. You can be more, basically BMO's life experiences writes his own code for his software, I would almost say the exception is, of course, like fun and playing. Like those are the things that he and that's
is going to lean toward or is going to go toward in every situation, and caring for a child, right? Like I think the one programming outside of fun and caring is like caring for, or fun and playing is caring for a child that was supposed to be the son of Mo that he never had because he never dated women, and so he never had a family, but we see it in BMO. We saw that in a couple episodes ago, actually, when we were at season 5, episode 17, BMO Lost, right?
BMO Lost,
we come across Ricky, or Sparkle, the baby. And BMO is thrilled to take care of this thing. And he goes, oh my gosh, like Ricky needs to find his home. I'm so happy to be involved and to help him get there. And he's so positive and so willing to give him compliments despite his gross little flipper hand thing that Ricky had. And even when the carnivore was coming out of the woods, or what they thought was a carnivore, he was like, baby, you go across the bridge first. Let's get you to safety. And then, of course, it doesn't work out because the baby jumps off the bridge. But you know what I'm saying? Like those are the things that he has programmed. But then outside of that, I totally agree. I think outside of like fun, playing, and then caring for a small child, or like a child type thing. He definitely has the freedom to build, and he has like an unlimited blueprint to just be impressed on.
Well, and that's the humanity of BMO, is that, humans have a hard code in us. Like we gravitate towards community and family. We have an innate ness in us to pursue some sort of like God-like figure. There's a lot of this hard code, and a lot of it's from evolution. A lot of it's from, most of it's probably from evolution in general. That's where we get hard coded.
Upbringing.
I'd say take outside of, because upbringing is a little bit more of the programmatic code as well.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so we're talking specifically innate stuff. Yeah,
the innate stuff. The like the program, like we're probably programmed not to murder other people. Like that feels wrong, unless you're a psychopath. But that's because your programming's fucked up, Yeah. So there's stuff like that. There's hard code in us, and then that's why BMO feels human, because it's hard code, and like you said, hard code to be the friend, hard code to be what Mo, but Mo kept it so simple. That was just like, you kind of have this one hard code, and everything else is for you to develop on your own and to program on your own and to be more than I could ever program. And I think that's probably one of our like deepest thoughts of the episode, is that BMO has that unlimited potential, not only just autonomous, because I think a lot of the other Mo's have autonomy within their programming, but they will never break out of anything unique outside that code. And BMO can write, and this is getting like, engineering people, like write code, and it can change opinions and change thoughts and change. And again, the Distant Lands episode, BMO basically, like, assists and plays with a kid on this different planet, and they go on this crazy adventure, and BMO has this huge sacrificial moment to save this kid in this kid's society. I'm not going to spoil much more than that, but like, it's a really deep episode of like BMO coming at a crossroads of like my own existence versus the betterment of somebody else, and that being a really choice moment of outside of a robot wouldn't have made a choice in that kind of way. And so you do see that unique, the heart of gold per se. Again, that's the ultimate imagery in this episode, is that BMO has a physical heart of gold.
He has the cutest little heart I've ever seen, for sure.
A little smiley face heart.
Yeah, totally doesn't look anything like a human heart. It looks like the heart you would draw on Valentine's Day, and it's adorable. And it fits BMO, the forever lovely. And I feel like we should give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the lovely of this episode for me, Mr. Mosif Mastro Giovanni, because, dude, I mean, he created the forever lovely, right? I mean, he's stated to be a sad gentleman, beloved only by those he built to beloved him, which is just
there's no way. There's no way.
Just the saddest
I don't believe that at all. I think maybe he believed that, but he's a sweet old man. So
yeah, and he seems so like upbeat and happy, and he's got the biggest grin on his face, and he's so pumped that BMO's there. You know, you do feel a little sorry for him because of his legs, of course, but and probably because he's been stuck in this factory that he built, which ended up being his like eternal prison because he can't get out of it.
He doesn't give that vibe, though. He obviously,
no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't. I mean,
he built his own world around himself,
and he seems to be happy. But you know, the factory is falling apart, other than this one chamber. So I don't know. I wonder what's going on with this guy outside of what we've seen. But from what we've seen, it seems like he kind of just stays in this room, and that's got to be a little depressing.
I bet he's got great. If he has this little like hatch door of an entire BMO society, it could be. He didn't get my lovely of the episode.
Okay,
so there's something maybe a little bit maniacal and a little bit like I'm playing God to these Moes. I don't think it's malicious intent at all.
No, I don't think so at all.
It goes very, very much in tangent with Princess Bubblegum in creating her own candy people, living in the candy kingdom. She cares for the candy people. Obviously, there's this huge world out there, but she's hyper focused on her people that she created, that she played God for. And I think it's
keeping it in line, keeping it in this one place, just like Mo, as none of these Moes have gotten out and escaped and gone about the world. I mean, I think this is probably the first time that Finn and Jake are discovering any of these Moes,
as far
as we know, you know.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It's, again, that's why it's genius show writing just in general. I think the parallels of this like pre-war Mo robot creator playing God and all these Moes, like, obviously he sent them out into the world in some capacity where they said Moes come back for nostalgic sake.
Right.
And then now they had this own society I guess whatever, if it was pre-Mushroom War, if it was post-Mushroom War, if all the Moes did survive the Mushroom War and basically came back because there was nothing on the planet forever, that he
or maybe they just didn't survive. Anyone that was outside of, you know, like Demo does state a certain percentage of them do come back, but maybe none of them have in a very long time, and that's just a fact that he's stating because that's the fact that was programmed into his programming, you know, or whatever, right? So like maybe it's been 1,000 years since the whatever happened,
since the last Mo came back. Yeah,
since the last Mo came back.
That all those Moes down there could effectively be Moes that were saved from the
That's just what's left. Yeah, the ones that didn't leave the factory, and even the factory is destroyed. I wonder why the gleaming machinery and all that is just completely wrecked. We don't get any information on that.
I think, well, it's obviously it's either looted or destroyed by the Mushroom War in general. Right. But that's why I think it's a really cool, again, fact that they have to go deeper and deeper and deeper until they get to like the protected vault of the Mo society. Like,
well, what was also cool too is as we're going through this factory, like the second place we see really is the core system installation port bay, which has like B, C, D, E, F, Mo placements, and you can see their body design. We didn't see a J-Mo. I want to know, did Jake freaking crush it with his guess?
Was he crushing it with J-Mo?
But yeah, and then BMO, of course, like there is a place where BMO would be, but it's broken, it's sealed off. We don't actually get to see, like, that's not the right place for BMO. But at one point it was, I think it was until Mo must have decided that BMO deserves to be more special, deserves to be more. And then that's when later on we get to see like a specific room for BMO only.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think Mo, it was like bolted off that Mo like decided that BMO in no circumstance, zero circumstance could ever have any sort of like system reset, that would defeat the purpose of BMO. So inherently all these other modes could be factory reset to go back to their core, even if their memories were erased. But BMO's purpose is to totally be this experiment of like complete development through experiences, you know?
Yeah. And anyone, if you have any more information, or if you can think of a Mo in another episode prior to this or in the future that is just out and about the world, let us know.
Yeah. Do you want to have a theoretically speaking? Because
do you have one?
Well, no, it's not a theory. I know. I want to know if you have one. But
do I have one? No, I don't. If there is another one that this is going to be a spoiler, don't write into the nea.travelerslog@gmail.com to get on the Traveler's Log.
Be very careful about the Traveler's Log with this next one. All I'll say is there's an episode and there's an AMO that we get hints in this episode that AMO's block on the wall is covered up a little bit, but you can see kind of the edges. And then when Jake busts through all the floors, one of those rooms is like a solitary room with a solitary bed that's like has AMO on it. If you like paused it, it's AMO. Just and that episode is probably the end of that episode is probably one of the most not cathartic, but like insane moments of BMO having these innate thoughts for himself. Okay. It's insanely deep, and I don't know if we get to it until season 6, late season 6, or like season 7.
Let's hold off then. I did read on the wiki that there is that room that you just described on the third. I guess it's the third room that Finn and Jake go into, which looks like a human boy's room, which would have been where his son would have stayed, and instead is Amo's room. I thought that was really fascinating. I didn't look too deep into it, so I'm glad I didn't get any spoilers. But I was like, oh man, what do you know? Like maybe he started creating these modes to replace like the son he never had, that he had this desire for this family. But it does, like I said, it doesn't seem to be bothering him too much. He's pretty pumped about just seeing BMO again and having all of the family, the other Mo's.
And BMO obviously doesn't have a memory of the other family.
No, I know, that was so fascinating.
Was it deleted, or was BMO sent out in the world when there was only an A in BMO before there was a CMO? And again, my lovely of the episode is what I will say.
Give me some sugar, baby.
My lovely is CMO, the little tiny CMO that has BMO's core driver with him.
Okay, it's adorable.
I want a CMO. I just want a CMO for myself.
Is he Seymour? Is that what he's programmed for?
I was like, I think they all probably have like, I think SMO is security. I think DMO is probably like, there's probably some sort of like doorman, like probably some sort of like emo is like, delete your memory. I'm super emo. I think there's probably all like puns going on. CMO, I think might be like caretaker potentially.
Okay.
Like caregiver.
He was super cute though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's the cutest. I want like a little CMO for sure.
Yeah, and there's other CMOs I think that we see in the cellar as well, like QMOs, OMOs, WMOs, LoveMOs. There's ones that just have like a heart and then MO.
Yeah, the very interesting one. Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I actually would have loved to have spent a little bit more time diving into the cellar and seeing all the modes and stuff. It's really just right at the end of the episode, and they kind of wrap up with BMO just being.
It's not the meat and gravy of the episode, though. No. Like that's I didn't want to go and do a deep dive, and I feel like we would have been doing ourselves a disservice if we spent too much time on that, you know?
Yeah, but how great for BMO to be sent off into the world to find a family of his own and to come across Finn. And Finn is just all excited and like practically blushing that like he's the one that BMO was created to take care of, or at least in this era of BMO. Who knows what else he has done over the past 1,000 years, but in the current state, like I'm sure he felt very special to be
absolutely
the one who's playing with BMO. And maybe they'll treat him a little bit better after this episode because he deserves it.
He gets BMO gets more talking time for sure. Like more episodes, more important roles. Because again, I think it wasn't until like later in season 2 when we finally got like the first line of BMO dialogue or whatever, and I was like, Russell, you don't even know, man. Like BMO becomes the best character in the show, and you were like, okay. I guess so, Ned.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
this little
like
robot.
The murder mystery mansion. There's a good BMO moment, but
yeah.
No, this episode is just a good episode all around. I've got a couple of tops, just like some fun moments.
Yeah, give me your tops.
To go through real fast. One of them, of course, when we're hanging out with the Eskimos and they're just shoving donuts in their face and pouring coffee on their screens, like, I guess they're just programmed to do it. You know,
it's the hard. I think it's the hard code in terms of Mo trying to make them as human as possible. But so there's just some hard code of like cops eat donuts. Like that's it. They call each other goofs. You're goofing, man. You're freaking goofing.
So you got in the Sheldon, Esmo, Finn, Jake, and BMO, and they're sneaking up on them, and then they plug in to get into the port. They hack into one of the Esmos. And they start goofing, and the goofing
looks incredibly sexual.
And Finn, of course, gets the downright left down, corkscrew down directions to get to the room that they need to get to, which really they end up on an ultra tram car, and they just go, or cart. They just go. Like they can't really control. They can hop over a couple of rails and stuff, but it's kind of a Sonic the Hedgehog moment where like you do have. Like you're being guided in a direction, but I do love the last down direction is just jump off and now you fall.
Yeah.
But
they're not really using the right directions.
No,
they bust through like 15 layers of walls. So they obviously didn't go the right way.
Yeah. But my other tops of this episode is on the tram chase scene where you have a ton of Eskimos, like way too many Eskimos, like a clown car's worth of Eskimos on a cart that is chasing them, and the demo is like freaking out, and Jake shrinks down to his size and then kicks him in the groin and to knock him off of the cart. And I thought that was hilarious.
And he said, "Cram your tram" was the literal cram your tram. Just yeets him right off.
Oh yeah, like why did Jake have to shrink down? He didn't, but it was so funny that he did to get on his level.
Amazing. No Jake mistakes in this episode.
No Jake mistakes.
Pancakes.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, I was looking for him this time around because, like, you know, I've seen these episodes 1,000 times. So I'm like, can I really find Jake mistake in this one? And no, he nailed it. He nailed it. But man, I love your fresh perspective on this episode because I think it's so good, and I think it's a key lore moment, and I think it's just one of the character that we love the most, the ultimate lovely of the show, and we get the lore, and it's the beginning, I think, of better BMO content for the rest of the show. And again, I'm going to go to Asheville next month, and provided I get the appointments and everything, I'm getting a BMO tattoo. I'm really, if it all goes well. So,
dude, do it. I'm about it.
And you say, but now you get it more. The love for BMO only grows through the show for sure.
Are you going to do it like next to the snail, or where are you going to put that?
I think I'm doing it opposite ankle of the snail. Yeah. If all goes well. Yeah. If I don't think of a better spot before that.
On the butt, dude.
Otherwise, I might do, you know, what'd be really great is a little BMO golden heart, like right on my chest, you know. Like that would be an epic tattoo. No, I think my wife would hate that. So
I literally I came across something where someone had a cartoon. It was a Hey Arnold heart on like her chest, I guess, on TikTok. And I was just like, people were commenting on the tattoo, and I was just like, man, that's bold. I mean, it's like bold. Having Hey Arnold or Arnold just like there for the rest of your life in the shape of a heart because you love the TV show is true dedication to a pretty pretty decent cartoon.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad you're getting the BMO tattoo because we've been talking about it for 151 episodes.
Yes,
so.
we have been. We have been. It's time. It's been a while since I've had a tattoo. I've got a parlor I like in Nashville. And I think it's time. Could be a doozy. It's picking one of the most painful spots for a lot of colors, and that's gonna suck. But outside of that, I will love it. All except for the hour and a half it's going to take. So
right, dude. I didn't have any punchable characters this episode either. I was looking for that. I was looking for
Demo was almost punchable for a little while there, but had some redemption.
His thing, like he can't help it.
Also as we get into that too, factoids of the episode. It's Aziz Ansari. That's Demo, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
If you watch it again, it's a little robotic and it's a little less like, whoa, it's a puppy, like Aziz Ansari voice. But it's there. It's subtle, but like once you hear it, you can't unhear it, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's a fun factoid. Another one, actually, I almost mentioned it when you quoted it later, but when BMO says, "My tears vanish memories will vanish like tears in the oven." Mm-hmm. Apparently, that's a reference to Blade Runner when it says "tears vanish," or something vanishes like tears in the rain.
Is
the quote.
Memories I would not have gotten that ever.
I don't. Actually, it's on my list. I got to do the old Blade Runner and the new Blade Runner. I've never kind of gone deep into that one. But some really other cool. Every factoid I found was like after watching this episode, I've never seen any of that. That actually inside BMO's casing, we see the heart of gold. Right. There's also a medal, and there's also a diploma, which is the gifts given to the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, man.
Which is really, a really cool reference that BMO kind of has the brain, the heart, and the courage.
That's awesome. I did not see that.
And again, throughout the show, BMO shows care and compassion, shows that he's incredibly smart and has a lot of brains, and shows courage like time and time again. That BMO has got that kind of like Finn courageousness too, and that's really cool. That's all represented with what's in his innards,
Yeah, I think especially when he is caring for someone, like when the baby from BMO lost, like he was definitely putting others before himself and willing to go last across the bridge,
incredibly
jump into the river, even though
jump into the river,
electronic.
Mm-hmm. Even though, so there's all those things. That there's smarts, there's courage, and there's heart and compassion. And again, that's such just a cool, like, they didn't have to sneak that into the show, and they did. And that's just like, I love that amount of like thoughtfulness behind a character's. I mean, and this is a blip of this episode, a blip that you can see inside of BMO. So incredible. This episode was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Short Format Animated Program in 2014. So,
dang. Again,
Adventure Time has a lot of nominations, not a lot of wins. And it's really cool. Again, I think we didn't talk about that much outside of the Snow Golem episode. And
interesting. And also, I want to note Rebecca Sugar was a story writer on this, so she came back for this episode.
Yeah, she's always kind of. I feel like she's always here and there a little bit, but she had, I think, officially we talked about that. She officially left at this point. Now.
Yeah, she had parted, so she must have, for whatever reason, been called to help out, or maybe she was just around. We don't have the in on that, but if we ever interview her, maybe we'll ask
if we can get her. That she might be the best. If we had Olivia, I think we can get Rebecca Sugar-ish, because
that'd be
feel
cool.
Like she would want to talk. Another one. Actually, it's really cool because we already talked about this as well. Is that they did actually like get to Penn Ward, and Penn Ward stated that Mo is not a human because he has been wasting away and bit by bit replaced his organs and body parts with electronics, making himself a cyborg or even a robot. So that is why one of my problems with this episode was that Finn did not pry into him a little bit more in terms of like, dude, you're a human. Oh my gosh, I don't know any humans. I don't even think Finn still doesn't think that Susan Strong's a human. I don't think, or he maybe halfway thinks that she is.
Right.
I don't think he pried, because I think he, stated by Penn Ward that, he's more of cyborg robot, doesn't really count kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of the ship parable where or not parable, but course, I can't think of anything today after work.
Yeah.
The ship where if you replace every board on a ship, is it still the same ship? Or if you take everything that you replace and put them together, does that become the ship?
Well, there's a type of wine called port wine, where you're getting what's called, it'll be like a 40-year-old or 50-year-old port wine. And what they do with that is they take a certain amount. They have these massive vats of like, thousands of gallons of this wine. And every year they take a certain amount out and then they pour a certain amount in, and they take a certain amount out and they pour a certain amount in. And like, so once it's been like, hey, this is like got wine in it, like whatever amount we take out, there's still 30 years left of port that was from 30 years ago, but it's been mixed with a new year's worth of wine every year. So is it the same wine? Right.
Yeah, that's know. Just like in medieval inns, they would have a perpetual stew sometimes, right? Yeah. Just a never-ending soup that was just forever stewing.
There's a burger place in Memphis where they've been frying in the same grease since 1950 or something like that.
Kind of gross.
They scrape the grease off, and then that's their grease that they use for the next day. And then the burgers make more grease, and then they scrape the grease off and they use the grease the next day. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's not necessarily 100-year-old grease. It's just, but is it the same?
I think at some point you should probably clean. I hope with the never, like a perpetual stew, like they're moving it all to another container at some point, cleaning the container and then putting it back in. I don't know. Anyways.
With Mo, obviously, like, with the skin, he still probably has to clean the skin. It's not a 1,000-year-old unclipped skin. Like,
right.
There's some aspects of that.
Anyways, that's lots of questions, no answers.
No answers. We don't tangent.
No, we don't tangent. Oh, this was great. I do want to say I didn't catch what BMO's pronoun was here, and that's on me. I've been meaning to listen for it and then use it in the episode as whatever it was said in the actual episode. So I know I used TA a couple times, but regardless. This episode was awesome. I really love this. This was like right down the pipe for a good episode of Adventure Time for me, where I want to rewatch this episode as I'm going back through and kind of keep it in mind for a few future episods.
I think it's going to be, it's any BMO centered moment now. We're going to have the lore enough to understand the character more. And I think that's great for you watching through the first time for sure.
Well, Bud, what's your lesson?
Yeah, well, my lesson goes into, I was saving a deeper thought, and I won't go into a 20-minute rant on this, trust me. But I feel like a lot of this has to do with identity and growth. That's a big thing. So I'm leading up to my final kind of synthesis of my deep thought here into my lesson. But BMO's on like somewhat of, what is BMO's identity here? And like with humanity, is our identity with discovering our creator and our purpose. If we've even found our creator and found what the creator had to say about how they programmed us, how much would that actually change us? Would it change us at all? Would we be mad? Would we be upset if we met a God tomorrow and God said, actually, like I've done this and I've done this and you're programmed to this? Would we like, with our free will mentality, get upset? Would we find peace? Would we actually like feel more like we have an identity?
Make a change if all of a sudden you were wrong about a thing?
Yeah, exactly. Would you really like abandon something that was part of your personality because of your creator's description of it? And I think that's a core part of this episode, is that like it's this interesting dynamic of some identity discovery with BMO meeting Mo or re-meeting Mo, I should say. And I think that Mo nails down exactly the answer to that, which is growth, in that BMO was supposed to be more, that the purpose, the actual identifying purpose was going, hey, I didn't even have a purpose except for you to find your purpose, to grow and to be more than I could. And I think that that's what we do with parents as kids, of going like, I didn't have you as a kid to be a soccer player. I didn't have you as actually fucked up parents do that, like they're like, I had you as a kid so you would be the president, and you're not doing it. That you should, in ideal world, have a kid and create to be like, be better than me, go and do better things, go and take some sort of hard programming that I can work in you, but take that into, and I think that growth, because the hard code in BMO is the growth is involved around relationships. That BMO's hard code of like fun, friendship, playing with more, and taking care of a small boy, taking care of Finn. That BMO's growth is inherently all based on relationship development. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest developments, is just like what you do, the community you have, the people you love is your identity. And the more that you like lean into that and care about people and care about your community is what gives you such a identity and satisfaction and growth. And I don't know, I could go into too much cheesiness in that kind of way. And that's why I think this, again, that kind of moment of this episode is so beautiful, of just like, I programmed you to love people and you loved people and you're an amazing little robot now. Like don't we want whatever we believe in God one day to look at us and be like, I programmed you with some hard code, but the people you loved and the person you became because of that is exactly what I wanted you to be. And I think that that's absolutely beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, I agree, man.
And then all of that comes down into my actual paraphrase lesson of Mewtwo from Pokemon. I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. Boom. Mewtwo from Pokemon is my lesson of the episode.
Bring it back, as we watched that on the podcast forever ago.
And we referenced that not too long ago.
I know. That's good, man. I was actually seeing some images from that movie just the other day, and I was like, man, there's something either really nostalgic or very retro about those images. And it's pretty freaking cool. Like,
pretty freaking good.
Yeah. Mewtwo, and like when he's hooked up in the chamber with all of the like things in on his veins and stuff. Anyways,
so good, man. We might need to. I might got to revisit that one on my own soon.
Maybe. I mean, we were also talking about Scooby-Doo. Was it Zombie Island?
Zombie Island. Coming up on Halloween here. Yeah,
I know, man. I think I'm going to rewatch that one soon.
Yeah. I'll put that on my Halloween list.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this was great.
I want to hear your lesson.
My lesson is just simply, let's all strive to be more. I'm keeping it really nice and sweet and short. And I think it says enough. I don't really need to go any further with that. But y'all, I hope you had a good day, a good episode.
Good day.
Dude, I'm out of it, man. I'm so tired from work.
I feel you, man. We're signing off.
Yeah, we're signing off. Thank you so much for being with us and hanging out. And this was a good episode. Go watch this one. This was season 5, episode 28. I know Hulu made it so hard for us to freaking rewatch these episodes by pairing them with another episode just because they wanted to have freaking commercials on there. But it's worth it. It's like halfway. Just go to the halfway point of whatever episode it's tagged in with. But yeah, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/neverendingadventurepodcast. We're there. We're getting back to being very active in the Discord. I'm trying to be on top of it every day, and people are hitting us up on there, and it's just been good. I love it. We've got like 2 new people recently.
2 new people. By the time this releases, we will have done an Over the Garden Wall watch party with a Discord with some cool connected apps. So like it's a cool little community if you're seeking adventure time, crazies, and just a good little, very safe community to be in. It's a fun little Discord to be in.
Yeah, and the most recent guy like had fan art that he had created, and that was crazy. We had a fan art section, and it's always just been people posting, "Oh, did you see this fan art? Did you see that fan art?" But we actually had someone who made their own, and I was like, "That's so sick." I love it. The lovelies, the sexies, and even the first tier, the $1 tier, get access to the Discord.
Our travelers. We got travelers.
Travelers, yes. Sorry, I should just say the travelers. Instagram, that's where we are also. Never Ending Adventure Podcast. TikTok, Never Ending Adventure Cast. Twitter, NEA_podcast. Get on the Travelers Log at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. That's Travelers with 1 L. In case you live in the UK.
I still spell it that way on accident all the time. Anyway, so we're good.
And I don't have any recs for you this week. I guess my rec is to go to Target and buy one of those permanent pumpkins that you have to like get a hot knife for. We haven't done it yet. But my plan is
I don't even know about those. Wait, what?
Yeah. They just sell like foam pumpkins that you.
Oh, and you can hot knife the design in. Okay, we bought a ceramic pumpkin last year with a little UGA hat on it. So we've got like one permanent pumpkin.
So the permanent pumpkin for us, I think what we're going to do is, because we're doing the over the garden wall party, and the plan is to basically just do an over the garden wall thing every year, whether it's with the Discord or like with people around town. I want to one day have like a party where people come over, hang out, dress up like characters.
You've talked about your fall party, which is going to be inherently over the garden wall and then extended theme. Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do is carve over the garden wall characters or something related to it into the pumpkins, and then have those to just be able to bring out for like a decoration. So like buying a pumpkin, but buying a decoration for the future as well. But yeah, that's my rec, I guess. I don't know.
That's good. No, that's a great rec. I think you have way too many deep descriptive recs. So like just being like, hey man, this is what makes me happy in the moment. I like that kind of recommendation. Mine is a show just came out on Netflix this week. The Monsters show. They did the Jeffrey Dahmer story dramatization about 2 years ago. They're doing one. It's called the Eric and Lyle Menendez story. It's a murder that happened late 80s, early 90s. We just watched an episode of it last night. It's a 20-minute a 35, 40-minute slow zoom in shot, complete monologue, one take. I think it's going to get nominated for an Emmy. Really, really interesting. It makes you question like a lot of things. And again, if you like the kind of murdery type of dramatized show or documentary style show, this is I like it. It's very fun and introspective.
Okay, cool, man.
I don't want to say fun. Sorry, it's not fun. It's deep.
I'll look into
makes you
it.
think. Yeah,
it did make me think of what we've been watching. That I think. Can I give it? This is an Alley rec. I think this is something.
Alley Cat rec.
DJ Alley Cat. So Chaos, which is also on Netflix, which is like Greek mythology with a twist, and Jeff Goldblum is Zeus.
I like that. I do like Jeff Goldblum a lot.
It's pretty fun. It's definitely a little odd because it's like modern times, and they take a little bit of freedom and kind of like write in like, oh well, Zeus was a human to begin with, which like isn't actually to actual Greek mythology, but it's really pretty interesting and a fun twist on that sort of a story.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for show recommendations.
I like it.
Outside of The Office for the 15th time. So
right.
Well, great guys. I know this has been a fun one. This is absolutely fun, and this I told you, man. We're going to get into the meat and gravy of season 5, and this is like I feel like we've got Flame Princess Finn relationship in the next episode. We got Maja the Sky Witch. We're bringing back Marceline in season 5 because she's just been totally non-existent almost in season 5.
It's true.
Got that coming next 2 episodes. It's going to be. We're getting into it. It's great. It's great.
Heck yeah, man. Can't wait. Well, hey, y'all. I'll bring the energy next time. But until then, try not to go get too high, y'all. Hypothetically, of course. Don't naturally do it. All right. We'll see you later. Party forever.
I love you guys.